Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the Zen mindset of Kumite, or free sparring. Hello,
Hello, everyone.
how are we doing?
Good. How are you, Kevin?
Good.
Kevin is here, intern number
7?
and a half? I don't know.
Hey, what's that supposed to mean?
Scott says 9.
Intern
Nine.
number 9.
Nine.
Wow.
Number 9.
Let's see, we've got Brendan, Juden,
Juan was over
Anto,
2. It was about
Juan,
2 years ago now.
yourself, Valen,
Yes. Did you say
said,
John Shanahan?
John Shanahan,
Said there was
That's
some girl
Pallavi.
from Spain.
Yeah, we got her.
Valen.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
ninth.
number 9.
Intern number 9 at the Hombu Dojo here in Dublin.
In Dublin. So, Kevin, we've known each other for a little while. I'm sure everyone in the HDKI is familiar with who you are. You yourself and Jane are like the HDKI mascots almost. You know, very positive, very friendly with everyone. But tell the people a little bit about yourself. Why did you start karate? How long have you been training for? Who have you been training with? Why are you with the HDKI?
Oh, okay. So a little backstory is I actually started not in karate but Kempo. My dad was learning Kempo from an instructor who was just teaching out of his basement. Yeah, and eventually ended up getting a school, but he still continued private lessons with him at his home. So when he came home, he just ended up teaching me out of the backyard. You know?
Nice.
That's just was the affordable way of doing it instead of us both going, taking lessons. So he was a brown belt, but he would teach me what was needed, and then I would go to his instructor and, take gradings under him on there. And from there, that instructor ended up moving out of state. So we took a little hiatus, but found a Taekwondo school.
Nice.
Master of all trades here.
Yeah, but that was short-lived. And actually, I took probably about 15 years of no martial arts and had a family and stuff. And it wasn't until my oldest son was being bullied at school that I was like, let's go check out this karate school down the street. I mean, it was just a block away on there, and it was perfect. What was more perfect when I walked into it, it was actually a Shotokan school on there. And when I just saw them performing kata, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do this too.
Nice.
Yeah, so we both signed up from there. And he continued, and he got his Shodan. But now it's just got out of college recently and hasn't been training as much. But I kind of took it a little to the extreme, where he kind of went in and out and did like baseball and stuff. So he'd take little bits of time off, but I was like in the dojo like every day, 5 days a week, every class I could go to. So
Excellent.
yeah, a little bit of background.
No, that's great. And you're with the HDKI. You started. You're a original HDKI. You were here when it kicked off, yeah. So you were WTKO at the beginning, yeah. Where did you first meet Scott?
Yeah, well, we joined WTKO back in 2015. We ended up going, what was nice, we went down to Florida to the Winter Keiko, where it was the first one.
Rick
that
Hutton's
with
Winter
Rick,
Keiko.
Yeah, with
Okay,
Rick
yeah.
and Scott. And that was like our first, me and Jane's first, time seeing Scott. And then Rick Houghton, and it was just such an eye opener. And I was like, "Oh, this is where it's at," and very impressed. And from there, the next weekend we went up to the WTKO winter camp.
Oh, yeah, in New York?
Yeah, so one weekend was in Florida, the next weekend up to New York. Little
Wow.
difference in weather.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it was
yeah.
like boom, boom. And so then we got to see, Richard Amos and John Mullen, Scott Middleton, and which are, all amazing, like karateka themselves onto it. So it really sold us in with joining WTKO. But being with Scott was like, just the main eye opener. And we kind of just started any Scott Langley seminar that was around. We found it and was there. Yeah.
Became little apostles.
Yeah, they were, I'm sure maybe a little
Cult
like
members.
maybe groupies, cult members, maybe good. Maybe we scared Scott a little. He's like, I don't know about Kevin and Jane. They're everywhere.
Folks, in case you guys don't already know Kevin and Jane, sorry, Jane is Kevin's lovely wife, who is also a karate enthusiast, and that's who we're talking about when we mention Jane.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
is she missing you already?
Oh yeah, because we've really never been apart. We've been together now for 4 years, and we're constantly doing karate adventures together.
Yeah.
So this is like our first karate adventure where it's like, you're going here, and I gotta stay and hold down the fort.
Yeah.
So she's actually keeping the dojo running. She's doing 18 classes a week herself
Yosh.
as a second cue.
And then about 2 years ago,
Yeah.
big split, big drama, and you decided to come on over to HDKI.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that WTKO is an American-based organisation, what was the, like, I mean, it's always that interesting to me when somebody chooses karate that's further afield than the one that's on their doorstep. What was it that made you
Well,
choose the good side?
yeah.
Now we can edit out what if you say things that are super problematic that can't go on. So say whatever you feel.
We'll edit it out.
We'll
Don't
edit
worry.
it out. Wink, wink.
Well, first, I think Scott was the one who sold us on WTKO. Even, so when the split happened, Jane right away was like, was reading it, was actually having dinner at a Applebee's. I don't know if you have those around here or
We've
not.
heard of them in the
but-
movies.
So we're sitting there, and, we're both on social media a lot, so we may be eating, we're both sitting here scrolling. We're gonna take a bite.
Yeah.
And then Jane's like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just saw that." When they
Holy
posted
shit,
about Scott not being on WTKO,
Yeah.
and Jane right away is like, "We're out," and I'm like, "Wait, kind of wait." We just sold our school on joining WTKO, and then we're going to turn around and be like, no, we're not, WTKO, we're doing this. So, even though I truly wanted, I just give it a little time and let's see. So we waited maybe 3 to 6 months on there, and then was like, no, let's do it. Let's call Scott up. Well, we didn't call him. We messaged him. This is usually how I think a lot how most his
of our business
messenger
is
must
done.
blow up on him. So we
Yeah.
messaged him and said, we're in. And
Fantastic.
from there it's just been. I think there was Roberto up in Michigan, who was the first one. Who he's always devoted, and he's another cult member of Scott. So and then we jumped right in as a second, and from there now there's 11 clubs over the last 2 years in the U.S.
Sweet.
It's really just started, boom, and then like one joins, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, so and so's joining, and it's like, wow.
You get that snowball
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
long may it roll. That snowball.
Yeah, but it just seemed like so you mentioned how a U.S. based organization compared to a organization that's all the way across the Atlantic, where we even had some people say, why are you going with a European club when there's plenty of people in the U.S., or why wouldn't you go to JKA or Japan, or
Sure,
and it's like, well, I think why they kind of say the proof is in the pudding when you look at Scott's karate, that you're getting the best of both worlds there. And you look at Scott, and he's in the U.S. more than the other instructor who lives in the U.S.
You can see he's there. Trust me, he's not listening. He doesn't
But I'm
listen to
sure
this.
he has his minions that are out listening to
who
it.
gives a
But it's not that. I really don't care what he thinks. We gave him a letter of resignation, and I'm sure he really didn't mind.
Now, this is actually the first time we've really talked politics on the podcast.
We've avoided it.
We have, yeah. I'm getting a little uncomfortable.
The split happened. Richard Sensei came down to Cork. Me and a couple of the boys went straight down to train with him, despite the fact that the split had happened and HDKI had been formed. I'd still happily train with Richard Sensei, just like one, because he's never done anything bad to me. personally, there's I have no animosity towards anyone in any organisation that I've been in. I've been in 7 organisations.
Have
or
you?
something. Oh, lots. Jumping about all over the place. Not from my own choice, but just out of, that's just what happens.
Politics.
And
politics out with your control. And good karate is good karate, regardless of what organisation they wear on their dogi. Like if they've got good karate, you have to show them respect.
Yeah,
to a certain degree,
And I couldn't say that I had a bad experience with the WTKO
Yeah.
ourselves. I mean, I really would have to credit WTKO with putting us on the right path. Like I remember being at the winter camp and Richard talking about you could go down 2 forks and you can go down this direction and be like, rip off and move it to the other path onto it. But kind of like what happened, but it wasn't because I didn't like or agree with what they were teaching. Very good karate. It was just I felt more of I leaned towards what Scott was doing just as his karate and him as a person.
It's actually interesting to get an American's perspective on the split, because we were all over here when it happened, but of course WTKO was based in New York, so yeah. Actually, I was abroad when it happened. I was in France. I was on tour with a theatre company. And when I saw the open letter that was published on Facebook, I just sent a message to you, Ross. It was just question mark. Or was it question mark, exclamation mark?
Yeah.
And then I had him on. He was like, so when are you back anyway, man? We need to do some training. And I was like, I don't know if I'll come back to the dojo now. If it's not WTKO, it's not the authentic thing. Yeah. And then I was like, nah, I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough politics. Let's talk about why you're here, Kevin. Internship, number 9. You have a former intern sitting right in front of you.
Us.
Rudis. Rude, what advice could you give Kevin here for his month?
Well, before I give him any advice, why don't we find out what his expectations are, and then
Good
based
idea,
on that, I can tell him wrong.
Yeah.
I'm only joking.
Okay. All right. So, I guess expectations on here. Like I was discussing, many people have commented on break them or don't break them.
Yeah.
Or not to break. Seems to be
break.
Yeah.
Break.
You're gonna break.
Well, I mean, I've already knew mentally, like, yes, there's going to be a breakdown period where you're going to be pressed to your limits and be forced to say, okay, do I quit here or keep going onto it? And then even if you decide to keep going, you're probably going to break down later
Regret it every day.
Should have went home. You could fight it or just give in to it. So I'm expecting to be pushed past the physical limits, and then even from there it goes to the mental limits on it too. Like talking about being scrutinized and being asked questions yourself and made to think about why you're doing this and such. And from there, but for me, besides all the physical and mental and being put on the spot, it's just about that I want to come here and kind of get some clarification on the direction I want to go to, where I need to be going. Like if I have all of you guys scrutinizing my karate and seeing where I'm at, then you could put me on a path where I'm like, okay, this, and this, let's put this together and go from there. And then, also about leaving here and being able to come back home with, some idea of what happens here. For being an HDKI school, we generally get a glimpse of HDKI by seminars. So, but it's like, well, what happens on the day-to-day, training? And yeah.
That's great. That was spot on.
Yeah.
Well done.
Right mindset. Yeah.
That was your first test. You passed.
There you go. 1 point.
All right, let's go out and have a beer.
This, folks, is actually Kevin's first day in Dublin, so he hasn't started his internship yet. He arrived off a long flight this morning at 5 a.m., so he's not exactly fresh as a daisy, but he's not doing too bad. Yeah, great. Like you said, working out. Well, what did you? Okay, so like you said, there's going to be physical exertion. There's going to be mental pressure. You seem prepared for it, and I think that's going to give you the fortitude to. I'm not going to say survive. Your life's not going to be in danger or anything, but certainly to cope.
I think it's constant. I think it's the task is when you're doing something, you're going to be doing it every day, and it's not just like you're used to teaching every day, but you're going to be training hard every day, and it's making sure that you're getting the most out of those sessions, not just getting through the sessions, but taking something away from the session every time. I think that's the thing that can become tricky, especially when you're tired, especially when you've got Neil. Scott told you about Neil coming in the mornings. No. I see. He always forgets to tell those people.
The physical trainer.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So when he comes in and wakes you up at 5 a.m, and then you have to train in morning training, and then again in the evening, after teaching a full day, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Wait a minute now. I was told that I would get a message, the physical trainer's coming, and I can kind of exit as needed. So you're saying I should take part in the...
No. Jesus, no.
No, he has private clients here.
Okay.
He's a PT.
I'm like,
He uses the dojo in the mornings, and he comes every morning.
But it's early, and of
Well,
course
now I'm going to message Neil and tell him get Kevin on the dojo training.
he should be out there training. Believe me, I would have been like, all right, let's. I guess this is how it goes.
No.
But so remember that on the next intern. And by the way, there's PT in the morning.
Oh my goodness!
Before training.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Jeez. But
No,
yeah,
that would be death. We'd kill our interns if we made them do that.
but no, but I think just remember to try and take away something from every class, because it will get like even just mentally taxing. It will get to the point where you're like, okay, here's another one, let's go another one. But you've got to try and make sure that you're getting the most out of each session, you know.
And the next thing you said was about being scrutinized. There will be no shortage of that. So, but
Get ready for a lot.
Count yourself as well. I count myself as privileged each day that I have the opportunity to have my karate scrutinized by the rest of the guys in the dojo. So
Get ready for a lot of negative encouragement, if that makes sense.
There's not a whole lot of positive reinforcement. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really not expecting that at all. I mean, I don't think that'd be the idea. I mean, I guess that would be perfect. You come here and everybody just pats you on the back and, you look great. But then it kind of takes away the purpose of, why you want to come here.
Yeah. Now, and that can, it depends on who you are. It depends on how thick your skin is. But try not to let it grind you down, basically.
It's the best part of being in the dojo.
Yeah, and sometimes it's very sarcastic and frankly hilarious.
Yeah.
It'd be a good laugh.
I mean, I think I'm coming in the mentality that everything needs improved. I don't think there's nothing anybody's gonna tell me where I'm gonna just fold and be like, that's it. It's just like, give it to me.
Now, don't get us wrong. There's definitely no humiliation tactics or raised voices or anything stupid like that.
No hazing.
Like we don't pretend to be old school Japanese or any shit like that. But what was I going to say? There's definitely no pandering to your sensibilities. That's what I found. And then the next thing you said was about taking the karate home with you. Which is kind of what the HDKI is all about. Scott has said it's called Hombu Dojo Karate International because he wants to take what we do day to day, like you said here. You want to find out what the day-to-day training is like. He wants to take that ethos and spread it internationally. So yeah, it's going to be pretty different to what you're used to on seminars.
Obviously, the dreaded morning training. Have you been doing any physical prep for that yourself? Did you go out and buy a tube and strap it to you? And did you wear a weight vest every day? Did you?
No. I definitely should have, But in the mix of everything going on, Scott sent me some, basic layouts of things to work on.
Okay.
And I did some of the Tabata with tubes.
Okay, cool.
But not something that was. Definitely not as much as I wish I would have coming in. Yeah,
excellent.
So you mentioned the Tabata, and I'm sure that's going to be probably one of the dreaded.
Yeah, it's never fun.
Don't
I mean,
quit.
if you're
Doesn't matter how slow you go, just don't quit, man.
Yeah, if Tabata is getting easier, it's because you've stopped trying hard. It doesn't get easier.
No.
The faster you get, the fitter you get, the harder you have to try.
Yeah, so is it?
Everybody suffers.
Yeah. So it's something you should never peak at, because if you get stronger, then you should be pushing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even
You should be
to
getting more
that
reps
next.
in.
Yeah.
That's as simple as that. You should be getting more reps in. We actually done it. Like, funny, the other day we were doing the oikomi, just like flowing techniques up and down, and we were doing it in 11 seconds. Like, you used to
Yeah.
remember when I first came, we were doing it in 15,
Mm-hmm.
18. Like, you'd have a little rest and then off you'd go again. And we're doing it in like 11, 11 seconds, 13 seconds, like too fast.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like, Christ, we all need to like, literally slow down, maybe focus on the technique a little
Yeah.
bit more rather than just blasting through it. But when you're doing tabang, blasting through it's the most important bit. I think
Yeah.
we do a lot of technical stuff.
True,
Right? You
true,
need
true.
you need to blast through it a little bit sometimes. Like,
Yeah, but with the oikomi exercise, it went to the extreme where there was very little
But I like
attention being paid to technique.
but yeah, I think sometimes it's just about blowing the lungs out.
That was a grading
Grading
book coming
book.
through the letterbox. Microphones probably didn't pick that up, but
Yeah.
we have a grading this weekend, folks, and everybody's licenses are coming in the letterbox.
Also, I've got a lot of encouragement from Simon.
Oh
Sensei.
yes, of course. Yeah.
And
Simon
he
Bly.
told me I told him from the beginning when I decided to come, because I was on the fence, because we got so a lot of stuff going on with we just purchased our own dojo.
Yes,
and went
yes.
from renting to owning, and it was right in the middle of that move, and we're in a new neighborhood and trying to get that going, and then Scott's like, sending me a message, are you coming? And then it's like,
Yeah, it's probably just because we love having interns. We love having fresh bodies in the dojo.
yeah. So, I'm discussing with Jane, like, boy, we got a lot. Is this the right move to make? Should we focus on should we be focusing on getting our business off the ground, or should I be doing this?
How long ago did you move to that new premises?
January.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
so-
Yeah, so not that long ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fair play for taking the leap.
Yeah, we just feel like it's very important to the growth of our dojo. So it was just like, I had Jane can handle that for the time there, and I can get the knowledge and the experience and come back and then have even more to offer, than before. But then at the same time that Scott was messaging me, Simon's sending me a message. So are you getting ready? And
Yeah.
oh man, and I'm like telling Simon my backstory without saying nothing to Scott yet. Like, look, and I don't know which direction I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you should think about what your gut's telling you, and if it's focusing on your dojo, then you should do that. And then yeah.
If you ever want someone to reaffirm you to do something dangerous or exciting, Simon's the one to talk to. Like,
Yeah, he's a bit of an instigator, is he?
you banzai, and you go on. You really just get stuck into it. Go on, away you go, do
But
it.
maybe I got the there's different minds of Simon, some shades of Simon.
Oh, yeah,
maybe.
a man of many faces.
So this face of Simon was being the one that was like trying to be like, hey, you should maybe think about thinking about your business and taking care of that, and then you can always do this down the road. And then
Maybe probably reverse psychology.
he probably did.
Yeah.
Very clever.
Yeah, he is very smart. He's probably messaging Scott and Kevin.
This is what I'll do.
They were playing good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, but then after that, once I told him I'm going, and then Simon was giving me excellent, like, oh, you need to start doing this, and this needs to be the hardest part of your training. Of course, I did not meet Simon's expectations on what I was doing at home, but he was definitely always giving me encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're here now.
Yeah.
Prep or no prep, it's on.
We'll come back next week and see how you're finding it.
Yeah, folks, so we're going to talk to Kevin again halfway through his internship, and again after he, do we call it graduating? After he finishes, gets his
Before
cert.
he leaves, yeah.
Yeah, before he leaves.
So
And we'll get continued impressions as we go along. But right now, we have had our first question from a listener. They've given us a topic to talk about. I'm sure he wouldn't mind if I named him, would he? It's my brother Jordan. My brother Jordan, he's a kickboxer, and he sent us in a really interesting question, I think, something that we could definitely talk about for a while, all three of us. And he wants to know about attaining the Zen mind state. whilst practicing kumite, whilst sparring.
Basically keeping calm when you're fighting.
Basically keeping calm, yeah.
Yeah.
He has experience, as I said, as a kickboxer, and he has complained that he can get very tense, very worked up during sparring, and sometimes it has even led to panic attacks, full-blown panic attacks, and obviously there's nothing as unpleasant as that, you know, and it's put a dampener a bit on his martial arts experience, and he wants to know what we can tell him about staying calm under pressure and staying relaxed and zen during kumite. What do we think?
I've been doing kumite for so long that I can't remember how I used to cope with being nervous in class when it came to sparring people in class. I remember there was one kid.
Well, you're no good to us, so let's you and me talk about it, Kevin.
I remember there was one kid, Adam Hewson. Big Adam.
Big Adam.
And Scott Sensei actually wrote a great thing about it, like that yellow line.
Huh?
Like he talked. I think the article was called "The Thin Yellow Line" or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You recognise that, yeah? And it was how you should always have a bit of fear before you go into dojo. There should always there should be. It's good to have that little bit of anxiety before you train. Something that you have to like just get over, you know, before you before you do your training session. And that I remember like reading that and going, that's exactly what it used to be like with this. Whenever this kid Adam was in class, because Adam used to smack the shit out of me every class. He was so big, tall, like not like just muscly for his age. Like really, like again, he was just a young teenager at the time. But for me, it was like 10 years old. I would always get smacked, and it would just be painful. And we would always pair up against each other because. It's just, I don't know why, but we just always pair up, and my heart used to always be
Yeah.
but I used to just put up with that every class, like, and that's it. Like, I don't know if there was again, so young, and when the senseis say, okay, pair up, and you've paired up and the sensei take the class, you just do as you're told and just get on with it. And even though it might be a horrible experience, which it was, you just get on with it and do it. So at a young age, that's how I was getting over what I was doing. It was just by, suffering through it. Now though, whenever I do kumite, whether it be competition or sparring, like I can stay relaxed, but there's I think everyone needs to have that switch. Like when it's time to go, it's time to go, and you have that mental switch where you can turn things serious. And everything for me when I do kumite, like before competition mats, for example, I'm not thinking about anything when it comes to it. Like when I'm stepping onto the mat and I'm actually in doing kumite, or if I'm sparring with someone on the dojo, I'm not in a state of panic, a state of fear. I'm literally just thinking about
in
my
a state
kumite.
of flow.
Yeah, just thinking about my kumite, and like I'll be thinking maybe tactically, trying to set traps, trying to control distance, trying to see where the openings are, find the angles, or I'll just be, if I'm super relaxed, just moving around and poking away. But I never really get stressed, so. Like I said, I don't think I'm much use.
Well, no, there is something of use in what you said, and I think it's the volume of training. You just did it again and again and again. And
That's it, yeah.
obviously, when people are talking about anxiety, you never want to say just get on with it, because that's not helpful. But I think there is something in just like overexposing yourself to the thing that's triggering your fear. What is it? The stimulus.
Yeah.
And eventually, you can't stay scared forever, really. I don't think you can you? So yeah, overexposure, just do it and do it and do it.
Yeah, I think like that last competition there, I've not pressure about actually going on and doing kumite, but definitely pressure to win is a thing that I'll maybe feel. And for example, I'm teaching in London in July, and I'm doing a kumite seminar. And in my own mind, I put the pressure on myself saying, I can't go and teach a kumite seminar if I can't win our own national competition. That's just ridiculous. I have to go out and win this.
Yeah.
And thank goodness I did. But that's the pressure I put on myself. But as I was warming up, I put my Linkin Park on and my headphones, and you were warming up beside me. You can see it, the switch. It just goes, and all of a sudden, I'm not talking to anyone. I'm not like being rude. We'll chat away all day. As soon as it comes to doing kumite, no friends.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You're just
I went out into the place where you were warming up out in that little area there, and I went out too, and you had the headphones on. And I was like, "Oh shit, better not talk to Ross." He was stalking up and down like a greyback gorilla, silverback gorilla.
like, and it's just getting into that zone, I think. And I think that for some people, you might have to hype yourself up a bit. You might have to talk yourself up and say, I can do this, it's fit, like, I've got nothing to worry about, and big yourself up. Some people might be stay relaxed, stay calm. I think it's finding what mental state you want to be in, and trying to stay in that mental state as you go. Like, I always think a good coach, a good sensei will see if, for example, Jordan is panicking, if he's getting stressed. A good coach will stop what's happening and make them relax. Or put a handicap on them to force them to try and flow a bit better. For example, I'll do ones where it's like in class, if people are escalating too much, I say, okay, one side, this side of the room can only block, this side can throw whatever they want.
Yeah.
And the people are forced to get used to people hitting them.
Well, we'll come back to that just now because you are a kumite coach. You do the competition classes here, and you do the kumite class on a Wednesday. So we'll come back to, as an instructor, what can be done to help control anxiety of the students. But from personal experience, Kevin, you got anything about staying really relaxed during kumite?
Yeah, I actually was just having the discussion earlier this week with a student, and just trying to get into their head not to be already thinking ahead what they're going to do, but just kind of let things fall into place, relax, maybe in a Rick Houghton way, look to the horizon. Like I'm like, just zone through the wall past them. And then when you see the movement, you'll see it, and then react, to the way, you feel is appropriate to it. So definitely I think we get in our head, we kind of psych ourselves out a little bit, mentally put too much stress on ourselves, when we should just relax and view the situation, and then apply what comes appropriately to the situation. Yeah.
Scott Sensei talks about that. He calls it first thought, where you're not seeing and then reacting. Rather, you're reacting out of habit, or without sort of consciously, without going through a decision-making process,
We just had Rick Jackson in the dojo again, and he is a Zen Buddhist, so it'd be nice to have him on this discussion.
Yeah,
really.
we should have him talking about this.
He does a lot of exercise stuff, but he talks a lot about first thought and how he uses the outside examples, like when you're in the car and you're just picking your nose when you're sitting in the car. You're just picking your nose sitting in the car, you're not thinking about it. And then you look out the window and somebody's looking at you, then all of a sudden, whoa, now you're thinking about what you're doing, and you realise, oh, this is embarrassing, and you stop. Or, dogs bark and you hear the dog bark and you don't go, like, you hear the dog bark, you instantly know what it is. You don't hear the dog bark and go, what's that sound?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bark. That must be a dog. It doesn't take that step process. It's just instantaneous. You know exactly what's happening. You hear a bird, you know it's a bird.
But now, to be able to be in that mindset during kumite, I think takes experience.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, experience, and also kind of trying to cultivate that mindset. You can't just spar and spar and spar without ever thinking that it's a problem that you're tense or that you're thinking, because if you're like that, then you're probably just losing all the time anyway.
You're going through this. You're going through this transition a bit just now. Yeah, I mean, you started working here, sparring with us in the morning, and Scott's biggest thing is that you need to relax more. You need to have confidence in what you were doing and stuff. So how have you? Being
in my head has always been a massive problem for me. Even as an actor, it's what my facilitators used to say to me, that I was in my head. I couldn't be in the moment. When the pressure's on, when you're feeling the pressure in a kumite scenario, I just go into my head and I try to think. And I try to think, will this combo work? Will that combo work? Maybe if I change the angle here, that will work. But all that thinking just leads to inaction. It's, like they say, paralysis through analysis. I get nothing done. I can't score. I can't hardly move. I sit there until somebody closes the distance and smacks me. So that's been, and it was like that for a while. I wasn't improving. I was getting a little bit less afraid, but no more effective. Just because, I realized it doesn't really hurt that much to get hit. Everybody in the dojo has pretty good control anyway. But then the competition was coming up, and I tried to knuckle down, and I tried to sort myself out. And I feel like since then I am transitioning into a little bit more of a relaxed fighter. I've learned about, well, it's not that I learned, like I understood the concept of moving in and, intercepting your opponent's actions, cutting them off with a gyakuzuki before they can, execute whatever that they were trying to do. So the conceptual knowledge is there, but then getting that into your body is something I hadn't been able to do because I was focusing too much on concepts. So suddenly just letting it happen worked for me. And it happened a couple of times coming up to the competition here in the dojo. Then on the day, I managed to score in both my fights, and it was doing just that. It was not thinking and letting it happen. Like Rick Jackson says, don't let the body follow the mind, let the body follow the moment. Yeah. And it worked.
I think, and also just to bring it back to Jordan, I think especially if he's doing kickboxing, he started doing the karate as well actually, but specifically when he's doing kickboxing, the biggest thing to understand is that, especially in a class, there should be no pressure to win in class. And I think that especially when you're doing sparring where kickboxing is much more free flowing, like in terms of the competition itself, they don't start and stop the way the karate does. If you get touched, you're losing.
Yeah.
You can't get touched.
Yeah.
Kickboxing doesn't matter so much. You can get touched. Like it's not the end of the world. What you don't want to get is knocked out or dropped or so, because again it's a more full contact sport.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you're sparring, it should never be full contact for one. If you're training in a place where you're sparring full contact and you're going to war in the gym every day, leave, because all you're doing is you're just going to give yourself physical problems later on. You're not getting paid to fight in the gym, so don't fight in the gym. Train, spar, learn,
Mm-hmm.
try things. If you're this to anyone, if you're in a place where the coach is screaming at you, harder, go harder, come on, do them in. I mean, that's not a place. That's not a good environment, and it's not somewhere where you're going to excel either. I don't think. I think that's a big problem with full contact gyms, is that when people take it too seriously, the egos, whatever it is, and they try and go full pelt.
People get hurt.
Just on a Monday night training session, man, it's just stupid.
It's a problem in Kyokushin karate. I think guys get injured really badly.
I think like and I think there'll be places, some karate dojos as well. I've trained in one or two places where guys are getting, just injured every class. Like there's always somebody burst nose, broken nose, black eyes, all that stuff. It's like, well, like
what are you doing?
You're not getting, like, again, unless you're doing it for a paycheck, like unless you're getting a paycheck at the end of the day, like why,
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. So if the stress is happening because you are getting hurt if you don't do well, or that it's really, really tough, hard sparring, it's not the place. It's not the place to be. Trust me, pros talk about it all the time. There are times where professional fighters will go hard in the gym. Sometimes it has to happen. They're professional fighters. They're fighters by nature.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them will say that you need good coaching. You need to learn when you spar.
Okay, then. So about being an instructor who instructs people when they're sparring, what do you think is the best approach?
Well, I think the key thing is that when you're doing sparring, it should be a very relaxed environment. Because when you're relaxed, you flow. There's less chance of injuries for one thing, and just in general, people enjoy it and they continue to want to do it. And the more you want to do it, the more you keep coming back to it, the better you're going to get. So you need to enjoy it is the first thing. You have to learn to enjoy sparring. Having a bit of fear against, like when you're up against someone in sparring, is a good thing. To be able to be brave and get over that is a good way to get over the anxiety. It's a good way to prepare you for outside life as well. I always remember thinking I've competing in competitions and stuff. Everything else, and my parents tell you I was too lackadaisical, too chilled out about other things where I should have been more serious, because like when it came to exams at school, everyone was stressed outside. I would walk in, do my exam, walk out. They'd be stressed about how they'd done. I was just like, you can't get punched in the face doing an exam, right? You know, it's not like one of the examiners is going to come rally in the back of the head when you're in the middle of a test, you know. So I think like
speaking of exams where you get punched in the head, we have to talk about gradings after a while. We have to do our usual update on the road to the gradings. Yeah, we didn't talk about that before the podcast, but yeah, we have to do that.
Yeah. And so yeah, I think that in learning to enjoy it and learning to enjoy having that little bit of anxiety and learning to enjoy the fact that you felt that slight bit of fear, stuck at it and got through it and come back the next day, I think that's something that can become very satisfying. And especially if you're aware of it and can sort of convince yourself of that, it can be a very good thing, I think, if you, again, relax and learn to enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good point. Like when it comes to, say, avoiding the scenario where you're suffering an anxiety attack, but I'm sure lots of people know from first-hand experience, when you are in the throes of panic, it's just overpowering.
I think though, when you're in that state of panic, it's too late.
Yeah.
Because you're not in the, because he's talk like the question was, how do you get that mindset of keeping calm?
Sure.
And as soon as you're not calm, that you're not calm anymore. And it's too late. You're panicked, and the way to get over that is to stop. You have to stop.
Yeah.
If you get to that point where you're panicking, you're stressing out, it doesn't matter what. Like as a student, I've never had that, but I would like to think if any of my students, one of the students does suffer from panic attacks quite a bit, and as an instructor, I'm very careful and make sure that I can do whatever I can to make sure that they calm down, and if there's anything I can do to help them through this and help it happen less, I try my best to make that happen. And I think that it depends on your coach, I guess, on how you handle these situations.
I think it would be also creating the atmosphere that shouldn't lead to that. I mean, like you was discussing, you should come into the dojo with maybe a little fear, maybe a little adrenaline rush of what's about to happen and what can happen. But at the same time, you trust the people around you.
Good
that
point,
I should not be if we're sparring together,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be shaking in my boots.
Oh, yes,
thinking,
you should.
Okay, that'll be saved. But you get what I mean. You shouldn't be under the fear like, I'm going to get killed here.
Sure,
It should be
definitely,
like this
yeah.
back and forth exchange.
Like I say, you should, at the end of it, have still enjoyed it and come back again, because that adrenaline has become something that you enjoy. You enjoy getting through it.
Yeah.
And I think that, for example, I mean, it's difficult. Like I think, who's like Ray Sensei, Ray Stretch. Everyone in HDKI knows Ray Stretch. He's a big, scary man.
Yeah.
And if me and Ray are paired up for something, it's not that you're scared, but you're like, I need to be switched on here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm
definitely.
going to get a sore one if I'm not switched on. You know, and
I learned that lesson hard way with Ray Stretch.
but that's it. And it's not. And I would never think, oh, Ray's going to do me. He's going to hurt me. Never.
Yeah.
He's too slow anyway.
Wait.
But
Farmer's Town. I hate to see me doing well.
Wait a minute now. They've invited me to come over there for a class.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh no, he's one of the best guys.
He's lovely, man.
Fantastic.
But again, there's that little bit of me that's like, obviously I'm joking when I say he's too slow, but there's a bit of me that goes, okay, Ray's someone I don't train with a lot, so I don't know what his tendencies are, what his habits are. I know everyone in the dojo what they habitually do if we do any sort of kumite drill sparring. Don't know his timing. He's got a longer reach. He's big and strong. So there's a part of me that goes, I need to be switched on here, and I'll get a little bit more excited when I'm with Ray than I will with other people in the dojo.
Right.
And that feeling is great, and getting through that is fine. But if it gets to the point where you're terrified of Ray, there's like you said, Kevin, there's a problem there if you're terrified.
There's some issue. I mean, we shouldn't be in the situation where we have to fear, like, man, I'm gonna get my teeth knocked out. I mean, that'd be a good. I mean, yes, that could be like people would say, well, that's Budo. You know how people get it. That's Budo, and it's like you should train.
We have to
as
do a podcast
but
on that someday.
it's just not respectful to train that way, you know.
Yeah.
So, and do you believe, Kevin, that it's the responsibility of the instructor to create the atmosphere where a person feels not so afraid and that they can trust the people around them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly trying to coach that atmosphere of, you know, trying to relate, especially with dealing with, you know, with a lot of kids too. It's like, you're friends, you're back and forth exchange, relax. I think I've heard someone refer to, you know, just have fun, enjoy yourself. You know, you're trying to talk them off the ledge because, of course, in their head they're like, you got to go to the extreme, like, oh, just smiles.
That's it. Like, it's exactly like totally related to that when it comes to like the competition class on a Saturday, the community class on a Wednesday. When it comes to the end, if we're doing sparring, it's like I always do it at the very end, and I say treat this like a warm down.
Yeah.
This should be relaxed, smooth. You're not trying to win. Doesn't matter if you get hit. This is the place to get hit. Try stuff. Just chill out. Yeah.
Some people don't receive
Georgia.
That message. Georgia, I was about to say it.
Georgia is the worst. Happy birthday, Georgia. Georgia's birthday today. Happy
No
birthday.
way.
Yeah. It's her birthday.
Wow.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Georgia.
But like Georgia is the one who just has no off switch. She's just always on that line of fucking insanity. She just knocks shit out of everyone.
But she's great that way too.
You know, and
she's the one that everyone can be scared of. You know, that one that everyone's like, oh Christ, I'm with Georgia, I need to be careful. You know.
Yeah, I feel I'm saying this stuff. I'm repeating the same things all the time, and it's generally to a certain individual who comes in, and you're just talking to a whole group, hoping. I hope they get what I'm talking about. Talking about you.
Yeah, I think it's important to try and get that message across, but it's also important to identify straight away when it's getting out of hand.
Yeah.
But what about people what about people who don't get the message and it's in a bad way when they're hindering themselves? I know this is going away from Jordan's question right now, but we can come back to it. But what about people who are hindering themselves and people around them, maybe hurting people, or maybe just, you know, running themselves into the ground and kind of disrupting the atmosphere? How do you approach that?
If you give me a specific example.
Somebody who say it's a drill, okay? It's not freestyle comedy, it's a drill, and somebody who is deliberately doing the drill wrong so that they can score. So that they can punch first.
You need to call them out on it.
Yeah?
I like if you broadly say, guys, we're doing this, this is not about winning the point, it's about focusing on the technique, learning this principle of movement.
For example, if it's, you know, compress back as you block and then drive on with the Gyakuzuki, but instead they block with the other hand and they hit you with an Arakan without moving their center of gravity at all. Therefore, not taking any benefit from the exercise.
Yeah, or going in DI when they should be compressing back. And you say, guys, you stop. You say, like, because you go, oh, Yami, guys, just watch. I don't want you to do this. Bang! I want you to compress back and compress forward. This is easy. This is more difficult. We're practicing this. I want you to practice this compression and drive rather than just hitting them. Like, it's easy to just score, you know. And if they still continue, then you have to say, "I'm talking to you. You're the one that's doing it. Don't go in.
Yeah.
I want you to come back and forward."
But you see,
and if they still continue to do it, then you put them with someone who's going to smack them. That's just the way it is.
I don't think it's out of obstinance, though. I think it's out of like this crazy anxiety about not being first.
Yeah, I think I was that person at one time, where I just in my head I was thinking, you know, and being very new to it as I still am, but to Kumite, in my head I'm thinking this is what we're supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to hit you, right? I'm supposed to do. And then I had to be made an example of sometimes where the sensei put me with a higher level black belt and is just like thump him. I mean, and I'm sitting there thinking, what I do wrong?
I mean, it's again, but if you're specifically saying to someone, you're the one doing it, you have to come back forward, and they still don't change. Then
that's different.
That's a different story.
Yeah, that's different.
There's something else. I don't think that's anxiety. I think that's just either ignorance or stupidity or
something. I think you're right where you give them all the benefit of the doubt by stop and say, hey, come in, this is what I'm trying to get across, put them back out, and then you're seeing it again, then you probably have to single that person out and say, I'm talking to you. What are you doing?
I would never stop the class and go, you. I would go up to them while they're doing it.
This is it. Everybody's moving.
I mean, in terms of anxiety, for example, like we're bringing it back to Jordan when he talked about sparring, and again, be comfortable with not winning every exchange. not winning every sparring set, not winning every time you paired up with someone. For example, there was someone, I'm not going to mention names here, but there was someone in the Kumite class who could not relax and was going hard with everyone to the point where it was pretty obvious. And good old Christoph decided to take it into his own hands and say, if you want to go hard, come and go hard with me. And Christoph, for those of you who don't know Christoph is former Cameroon champion.
He was captain of the Cameroonian team,
captain of the team. Fought in France exclusively. Very, very, very good Kumite guy. One of the best I've ever had the pleasure of
He's an old hand.
training with. Yeah, very, very experienced. And again, you need someone who has that experience, someone who is that level above, just to say, this is what you're doing to other people. Bang, bang, bang. And he had the person on the deck about 6 times in the space of a minute. And it was relentless. And I seen what was happening, and I didn't say, oh, yeah, mate. I said, no, this needs to happen for a minute. And you let it go for a little bit, and then it's like, okay, yeah, mate. And it's like, okay, guys, we'll stretch. And then after that, because that's the peak of the escalation that you can let happen to the point where nobody's getting hurt, but there's that's the extreme where there's a hard lesson being learned.
Okay.
On the dojo, and you have to be aware that doesn't. So it's very dangerous to do. You have to be aware of what the tipping point is, but sometimes that needs to happen, and I think you need to be aware that after that's happened, you can't keep going. You have to. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you have to stop, because that energy's hit the peak any further, and it's going to turn into a problem. So you have to be aware of when to stop it, and then once you've stopped it at that, your sparring's finished. That's it. You're done for the day, because you will not relax after, especially after you've had a hard time. And you're already escalating. You already see somebody escalating it, and then you see somebody teaching them, this is what's going to happen to you if you keep escalating. Class is over. For sparring's over anyway.
You have to give them something to think about. Yeah.
You have to just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So to wrap up, I guess for the individual, the main advice we have is to get out of your head. Stop worrying about being first. Stop worrying about trying to win, and have fun. Right, man.
It should be love sparring. I love it. I love it, and even times where I get smacked and stuff, I love it. Even after, there's a excellent photo. I don't know if it was up on Facebook, but it's an excellent photo of after you cut my eye open.
Yeah.
I've got a big cheesy grin on my face, and I'm like, because it's so funny. To me, it was like, oh, yeah, this is annoying. That I've got this scar in my eye. But I was like, listen, it's part of it, and it's funny, and there was never it wasn't like the next time we sparred I was like, I'm going to knock the shit out. It just happens. That's it. You don't you have to learn to enjoy when you get smacked, enjoy losing, and enjoy the moments where you win as well.
It was fun to let on in a joking way that's what it's like every morning. Bloodbath Tuesdays in the dojo.
Yeah. But I think the biggest thing is you have to enjoy it, and if you're not enjoying your sparring, you need to because everyone's different. And if you're not enjoying your sparring, you need to understand why. Why is it you're not enjoying it?
Well, then about that, I think we talked mostly about what the instructor should be doing. So maybe if you're not enjoying your sparring, a large part of it is down to the atmosphere you're in, and the person creating that atmosphere. So
I think I tried to touch on that a bit when I said if you are in a place where the sparring's extremely heavy.
Yeah.
It's not that's not good for your health in general. The amount of you were talking the other day about CTE, was it CTE scans and stuff brain damage in the
I
head.
talked about that on one of our first podcasts.
We've spoken about that before, and that's something that happens, and it doesn't happen on the big stage during the big fights all the time. It happens by getting hit in the head repeatedly over and over again. And if you're taking full contact blows to the head on a Monday night when you're doing it as a hobby, sorry, you're an idiot. That's stupid.
But it's not just the physical duress; it's the emotional duress. Say about the coaches screaming at you, or
that as well. You have to be in an environment where you're enjoying yourself. And if you're not enjoying training, why
are you doing it?
Yeah. Why are you putting yourself through it?
Some people are masochists, I suppose.
And they probably don't suffer from anxiety attacks.
Well, I can think of a guy. He's got a book. It's called Karate Stupid. He wasn't having fun for a lot of that time, Anyway,
but yeah, so. Well, the story is, you got to enjoy yourself. Have fun, man. Try your best to have fun. Speaking of fun...
Denmark!
It's going to be so much fun.
Denmark is going to be fun. And at Denmark, we have some things which are not going to be that fun.
That's going to be fun. Grading this.
Grading.
The road to Nidan, Roo, how's it going? What's the update?
Well, I'm
this
injured.
Week? You're injured.
I'm
I can see you're wearing your little
injured.
fancy sock.
Look at that.
Oh.
Yeah, I turned on my ankle a few weeks ago, and it's just been getting worse and worse with all the training, to the point where it's just sore to walk right now. So I really want to keep training, but it's just making it worse. So it'd be stupid really to keep putting it under stress, and then cripple myself permanently.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been missing training since Tuesday. Today is Friday, and it doesn't feel good. Like, I feel bad. I feel like it's fear of missing out. It's also just the lack of exertion that I normally get. You can't, sometimes. Well, no, I can't get it. Sometimes I join in my classes and I get a bit of a workout as well, but I can't do that because I'm injured. So, just not getting that fix of what's the hormone that releases when you're exercising. One of the good ones, anyway.
Oh.
Serotonin.
Sounds good.
Oxycontin? No, not that.
I'm gonna go with you guys on that. Dopamine.
Dopamine. There we go. That's the one.
It sounds cool.
Dopamine.
We'll throw it out there.
So yeah. So I haven't, since Tuesday. I haven't done any preparation for my grading. But like I said last time, my Kihon's going to be weak. Not too pleased about that. Well, I mean, that sounds defeatist to say that, right? I don't mean my Kihon's going to be weak. I mean my Kihon is what right now needs the most attention. So it's frustrating not being able to work on it when I know it needs the attention. So a little bit frustrated, a little bit not feeling too hot about it right now. But also when I think about the moment, it's exhilarating. Because I know it's going to happen, I know when it's going to happen, I know who's going to be there, I have a fair idea of who I'm going to be paired up with for Kumite, and I'm excited. Yeah, well, hopefully. How many, what, two fights? Three fights? Three?
3 or 4, yeah.
3 or 4?
I don't know, 12.
12? 100-man Kumite?
Yeah.
Why not?
He's the guy.
No, I think it's normally 3.
Okay. So yeah, have a fair idea of who I'll be paired up with and how it's going to go down. That's it. So yeah, a little bit hot and cold. Like they say excitement.
Even when you're injured, though, I mean, stuff just like it's just slowly. Like if I had an ankle injury like that, I can't really do much. I would just try like slow as I can, just walk through like, all the katas that you need. Like, any of the katas that you could be asked, just walk through them once a day. Just like even when you're injured, or just go through them in your head. Just take a wee second, 5 minutes of your time. Just, before you go to sleep, just turn the lights off, go through your katas a couple of times in your head. That stuff, just keep it fresh in there,
Awesome.
Yeah.
How about you? How you feeling about the big YONDAN?
I got a nice wee bit of attention on my Sochin from Scott the other day, which was good. I feel on track. A couple of things that, like, he gave me some nice points that just things that could be a bit better. My stances are a little bit inconsistent, like
I
depending
remember
on
him
the
telling you
techniques.
that, yeah.
A little bit like before the first stance I was going down, it was like very competitive, like so low.
Yeah.
And then the second one would be so much higher because obviously you can't consistently stay down like that.
Because you did it now. You did the low Sochin dash. You don't need to do it every time.
You don't need to do it for all of them. I done the first move. That's the one everyone takes photo of. So
I did the first move and they went pass.
so just the consistency now. So the height's more consistent, but now it's just a little bit width and length, like for compared to that double block to the Tatshuto. The Tatshuto one is just a little bit different, so it's just been consistent on both sides. But yeah, man, I drilling the application into me. Like I'm trying to, like, well, he's not actually giving me application, but he's getting you guys to quiz me every morning.
Yeah.
On application and stuff. So I do my best with that.
Your applications are sound, man. You're well prepared in that regard.
I think I've got good answers, and even like you guys asked me to justify, certain moves and stuff. I think I have solid answers for those things, so I'm feeling good about that. We went through all the extra katas that you can get asked and stuff, going through them all. Like, yeah, they're feeling sharp. A couple of them, Kankadai could use a bit of work. I felt a bit laboured the other day. Like my Bassett IG on Jite, the Nidans. I've been working on Nidans a lot, and I feel like they're up to scratch now, which is good. And again, Kumite, just go out and don't fall on my face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't go out.
You don't have to be worried about Kumite.
Just go out and fight well.
Yeah.
I'll be again. I'll have the Linkin Park on before.
Yeah, no friends half an hour before
yeah.
committee.
That's my last time we were in Denmark. Donald and AJ graded for Sandan, and Scott said, "Oh, Ross, will you spar them for their grade?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll spar them." And I never got changed. Like we had a little break before the grading started, and most people got changed out the door, like because they're all sweaty and stuff. Got changed out and sat down on the benches.
Yeah.
I was stretching and still moving around. I was like, but Tommy told me, don't tell them that you're sparring them.
Oh God.
And then Donna went up to Tommy and said, Ross hasn't spoke to me in about half an hour and he's still got his no-gi on. I'm getting worried. I was in my head going, because we had such a great time like on that trip, I was like, they're not your friends. You have to go out.
Now I must
go
crush
for it. You know, that's it. You have to get them. So
Yeah.
I'm just it's just
The summer camp of destiny.
this is maybe switched on, but I'm a little bit injured as well. I've had a gammy hand for the past month. Kyokushin class last night, we were hitting the pads.
You
and I
didn't hit with the right, did you? If you did, you're a fool.
I played about with it a little bit.
Oh, for God's sake, Ross.
because I haven't punched anything with it in a month.
That's not true. You keep every now and again you hit something, you go, oh, my hand's sore.
Yeah, but that's hitting you. But I thought, okay, let's play. And do you know what? It was okay for the first bit, and then it was actually when I felt it, I was holding the pad for AJ, and he kicked like the top of the pad, and
Yeah.
it just boom, and I was like, oh yeah, fuck. I was like, there you go. It's like, so it's still sore. So yeah, you're lucky, Paul. Yeah, so I can't really punch with my right hand properly just now. I'll hold back a lot, but I'll get over it.
It's time to talk about the fails of the week. We didn't prepare Kevin for this, did we? You know about the fails of the week, though, don't you?
Yeah, I've kind of been listening in on those, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go first. Coming out of the airport, one thing was getting through immigration, and I thought I was going to get flown back, which was probably just in my head. I built myself into this, like, oh my gosh, she's going to send me back. Does this really happen? but then making it through, so, Scott's waiting for me, and we go to get in his car, put the luggage in the back, and I start to go around to get in the car, and Scott's like, so you plan on driving? I'm like, oh, yeah, get in the car. I should have followed up.
Classic American.
Yeah.
That's cracking.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
maybe a slight fail.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a nice one.
All right, okay, I thought of one. As those of our listeners who follow us on Instagram, HDKI Karate on Instagram, will know, last Sunday I did a story, and the first Instagram story from the HDKI Karate page, and it was because I was cleaning the dojo. I clean the dojo on Sundays, and I decided, it's a bit of a task, and I didn't have my headphones with me. I had no way of entertaining myself, so I decided I would do an Instagram story about cleaning the dojo, and you kind of make it entertaining, pretend it's like a tutorial, how to clean your dojo. So I threw in a few, they had like some joke posts and whatever, like, oh, step 1, drink coffee, step 2, hit the makiwara, blah, blah, blah. But because I was cleaning the dojo and in between, setting up the camera so I could film myself mopping, changing the angle so I could film myself cleaning the windows, etc., etc. And it ended up taking me like 3.5 hours to get the cleaning done, which normally takes 2 hours because I was too busy farting around with my phone in between. So that was a fail. I was walking home in the dark.
But it was so entertaining.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And actually, I was sitting there thinking, is he like laying down putting it down for me to see what I'm going to be doing? He's like, "No, drink coffee." Getting Kevin prepped for his internship. It's like, okay, I'm getting it clean.
Nah,
drink
it's still my
coffee
job to clean the
for
dojo.
the
You're all right.
mirrors.
You can do some deep cleaning if you want. That press is pretty dirty.
Yeah.
Okay, so my fail of the week was I felt a wee bit zesty in Wednesday class. I was and I thought Ben had to go for his bus like 5 minutes before the end of class, and Victor was left at partner. Young Victor won the GB Nationals last year. He won the HDKI Nationals last year. He wins everything, man. He's a great wee fighter. But he's 15 and he's very fast, and you'll see it you'll see him on the Instagram videos and stuff all the time.
Oh,
Yeah, little fridge key eye. But I thought, all right, I'll move around with Victor, and we're like I have when I again, I enjoy sparring, and I try things.
Oh
when I
no,
spar.
what did you try? Not the spinning Ushiro-geri.
No, it's really worse. So I have been trying like a few techniques and trying to get them well, and instead I keep them to myself. So one day I
Do
could
tell.
just one day I could just pull them out and smack you in the morning,
Sure,
or AJ or whoever, you know. But I have been working on a wee Shiramawash, a wee spinning Joran Shiramawash.
Nice.
And I actually caught AJ with it a couple of weeks ago, so it's getting there. And I seen the opening for Victor, and I flipped round. Perfect timing. He didn't know what was happening. His hands came down to block the Shirogeri. It was perfect. Look, foot came up, and I skiffed his hair, and then I seen the ceiling, and I was like, oh no. And in the middle of my coming to class, the my bread and butter, I was on my arse and literally kicking Victor away from me from trying to smack me when I was on the ground.
Sensei fell on his arse.
So that's my fail.
Fail. Big fail. Cancel all your kumite seminars. Back to the drawing board.
Yeah. I bet you it looked cool though.
Until you fell.
No, I bet that looked cool as well. Like an action movie.
Oh yeah, like you were dodging a bullet while kicking someone in the
Matrix
head.
fall,
You were just fixing his hair with your toe.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Well, guys, we'll be back next week with part 2 of Kevin's internship.
Oh, if he can talk, if he has any teeth left.
Dead man.
If he's not booked,
Dead men can't talk.
If he's not booked his ticket home already.
Okay, so I'm signaling in so that Rue's ankle's bad and Ross' fist is kind of...
yeah, you know the weak spots to aim for.
Like a zombie, you gotta watch it for.
Yeah.
This is all set up.
We're listening. Yeah. Thanks so much for listening, folks.
See you next week, deep bows, and who's.
Os.